down to Dort. This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk. This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
I'm Josh Giddey, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, this is Kenny Hustle, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Darius Baisley, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Poku, and I'm down to dunk.
I love cereal. Captain Crunch, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cracklin' Oats brand.
Oh, I can have these. I'm going to share with my team, but I'm going to hog most of them.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me more regularly on Sunday afternoons is Michele Bear. Michele, what's up?
Well, I mean, it's the second Sunday in a row. So, I don't know. Maybe it's a new thing, or maybe it's just life messing with our timeline. So
I think we'll call it that. Nothing has really happened in the Thunder world. There has been more just fake Shai rumors happening.
Mhm.
Bill Simmons discussed it on his podcast. Berman talked about it in a piece of his. I would bet hundreds of dollars that Berman doesn't know that Shai has a 5-year deal. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars, maybe even $1,000 that he doesn't know that he's got a 5-year deal. So what I would say about that particular rumor is don't worry about it. Simmons, I think he's just talking. I don't think he knows. What they really said was, I know that Shai was available at one point. And I do think in the 2021 draft that there were probably scenarios where it made sense to trade Shai. Now, none of that happened. I'm sure that he was on the table for some deals that maybe involved the number one pick, and it didn't happen. And since then, there's been no reason to believe that Shai is unhappy. There's no reason to believe the Thunder should trade him. And especially for a package of picks, I just don't think that that's where the Thunder are at right now. So anyways, I wouldn't worry about all that. It doesn't mean that I got 0% chance that Shai would ever get traded. But to me, after he re-signed, it didn't really make sense to me. Once he signed a 5-year deal, no opt-outs, it's like, okay, why would you do that? And also them saying
not in year zero of his contract.
And the reason they would get less than Mitchell, like I think his value is less than Mitchell's, yes. But when I started thinking about it, you get 5 years of Shai.
Yeah.
And you also have Sam Presti as the negotiator. You might get just as much or more. So,
yeah, and those picks are not special to me. The haul that they got is huge in terms of numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But as you mentioned with Alex on the Great Athletic NBA show, and we discussed this on Dream Team Bunch, those picks are Mobley's prime. Anything can happen. Anything can always happen. But, this is not just like incredibly good picks. It's closer to the value that New Orleans got for Drew Holiday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And in that case, I don't think that Giannis was already signed.
He wasn't.
So even that package was more risky, more valuable at the moment, but it wasn't afterwards.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't think that Presti will go for something like that for Shai today. I would say he would say, no. And when he signed him, when there was a moment where it could be in some deal and some like negotiations, it was in a completely different moment.
Yeah.
OKC was ending an era of Chris Paul and stuff like that, and they were like basically cleaning house. Like nobody was relevant at the moment, and they decide, hey, if we got a haul for Shai, maybe we think about it, because we really want to bottom out and replenish. I don't think that after the first, 10 games, that was ever discussed anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you have a guy that has the potential to be a top 30 guy, which wasn't very clear, especially after the playoff run, which wasn't awesome.
Right.
It wasn't bad. I mean, I think that we had the impression it was a bad, but for a second year guy, it was not bad at all. But it wasn't like shiny. It was not Trae Young. It was not Ja Morant. It was something okay, but not spectacular. And so, I mean, you can say, okay, I get a lot, maybe number one pick, maybe I get N Edwards, maybe I get something else, and then I really build from scratch.
Mm-hmm. I think he was available probably in the 2020 and the 2021 draft. Where not that he's like, oh, we're trying to get rid of him, or like we need a deal for Shai. I think it was like, hey, listen, if you want to make a deal with us in the top 3 of the draft, we're listening. And everything's on the table. And personally, like I would want my GM exploring stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's Cade Cunningham or even Mobley plus stuff, or even just that, you have to discuss it. Maybe you come down to a different evaluation, but you're right. I mean, discussing it, like testing the value of what you have, because I mean, you have something in your pocket basically, and you have an idea of what the value is.
Right.
But if someone goes to your door and offers like 10 times that amount, you really have to think about it.
Yeah.
Like maybe then you like you shift your evaluation, or say, hey, no, for this price, you go.
Yeah. So think about it this way. We heard he was available in 2021. Here's the top 4. Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes. Pretty smart to make him available then. We didn't hear one peep of him being available when it's Paolo, Chet, Jabari, Keegan Murray. It makes sense. Like, don't overthink this. Overthink this. Because those guys, everybody knew that like Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes those are like true building blocks. These are real building blocks for an NBA team. Paolo, people still had questions about Paolo.
Yeah.
I think that even with Chet, you have concerns, So, yeah, you're going to make him available then. And if you think that that's dumb, it's not dumb. Like, it's not dumb at all to make him available. Depending on what the trade is, like you can overpay for one of those guys if you include Shai and 6 and something else, and you don't get anything back but the 1 pick. That's probably an overpay. But that at the end of the day, it didn't get done. But we didn't hear a peep of that. We're only hearing about it now because people are saying, who is next? And where do they look? They look to the lottery teams, and they say, who is the best player that's not on a rookie scale deal that's on a lottery team? And the answer is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yeah.
Everybody else is either Cade Cunningham, Jalen Green, Evan Mobley, Scotty Barnes. Those are the other best players. And then we're also Anthony Edwards, who's on a good team now.
Allegedly.
Well, that team that made the playoffs last year, they'll make the playoffs again. Like, depending on what you call good.
Maybe.
Oh my gosh, stop it. LaMelo Ball might be one. Like, honestly, that may be a guy that you talk about, but he's still on a rookie scale deal. That's why they're not talking about him, because he's on a rookie scale deal.
Yeah.
Once you get to your second contract and you're a really good player on a lottery team, I mean, he's the best. He is the best player that's still on a lottery team.
Yeah, and maybe we just scratching the value of Shai. I mean, we have no idea. Every single season, to some degree, he improved. I know that last season, to many, seems like a season where Shai plateaued. I don't quite think that is the case. I think that his 3-point shooting, like, dipped quite a bit, but everything else, from a creation standpoint, has been much better. Go back and watch Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leading the team not the past season, the one before. I mean, he was clunky. Last year it was deadly. Like, he's still developing every single year, and so I really wonder. Like, yeah, I mean, we have in our minds, yes, the trade for Shea is there or whatever, but I mean, some guys are just not tradable. I wonder if Shea becomes that in, like, I don't know, 2 months.
Right.
Everything gets tradable, but not like in the middle of at the beginning of a 5-year deal when you know that you have like an all-star.
Right. Here are his last 12 games of last season. 32, 2-5, 36, 8-5, 37, 7-10, 29, 7-5, 33, 5-7, 33, 7-8, 33, 8-14. He had this one outlier game against Minnesota where he scored 8 points, three boards, 8 assists. Then he went back up 31, 6-7, 32, 8-5, 34, 6-8, 26, 7-4. His final game of the season, he played against Boston, 31 points, 1 board, 9 assists.
Yeah.
You want to give up on that guy? You want to trade that guy? And if that guy goes to you and says, hey, you know what? I want to be traded. You say, bro, you signed on the dotted line for 5 years, no opt-outs, and you told us that you believed in your plan. And let me rewind the tape to exit interviews where you said to the public that you believed in our plan. You have no leverage. Well, give us a year. Let's see what we would look like going into the 23-24 season.
And then we'll see.
Because I promise you, when we're going into that season, you are not going to want to leave this. So don't.
And if you do, it's fine. I mean, when you have like 3 years left, you retain. And if you prove us you are that good, yeah, I mean, we will discuss it. Because at that time, if he is what we think he could be, then it's going to be wild.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, I want to see what guys like Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson and guys look like this year. Because if you look at Scoot Henderson, like everybody, like just saying the name Scoot Henderson makes you feel good. You know, it's a cool name. The dude shot like 17% from 3 in the G League last year.
Yeah, don't be so rude. 21.
Okay, 21%. Cool. I think he actually there was some league that he shot 17%.
Yeah. Not overall, but yes.
We're not. I mean, I think he'll be great, but saying like I would immediately trade Shea for that guy is like hold up. I think Wembanyama's got some stuff to prove too. Like he's got freakish skills. He's got. I mean, some people think he's 7'5". You know, we're talking to Vicini about him on Slam and Jam on Saturday. Like, but like, could we just hang on, just like hold off? Because one, the Thunder could get lucky and get one of those guys anyways. And then two, like, man, if they could even add like this Cam Whitmore guy out of Villanova is like freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And like, you add a 6'6" or 6'7" forward to this team, like that's the spot they're missing, really.
Yeah, you know? I was talking earlier today with John on Thunder After Dark. And I have this thing in my mind that I have to just discuss. I don't know with whom, I don't know how, but it's going to be probably on the Dream Team or here, about the fact that what really OKC is lacking, in my opinion, and maybe J-Dub can fix some of that, is the ability to make decision without the ball.
Yeah.
If you can get a small forward that is a good shooter, good to great shooter that can make decision with the basketball, I think that this is what OKC is missing right now. In a year, if J-Dub evolves, because he already proved to, I mean, in the time that he played in Summer League, that he can move off ball. Maybe for cuts, not for relocation, but we'll see.
Yeah.
So this is something that I'm really looking forward in next year draft.
Yeah.
Anyway, even if J-Dub is good, because I really think that this is something that even if J-Dub is good, OKC just have like very few players
Yep.
that have that skills.
Yeah, that's where I kind of envision like Whitmore being this like complementary piece who just like loves to dunk on guys and plays really great in transition and can shoot and is just like tough as nails. Like that's the kind of guy that I would want with this crew. That's kind of something that they're missing. But I think J-Dub can do that. I think Kenrich does that to a degree as well. But yeah, you need to add more of those guys.
Mhm.
You know, more 6'7", 6'8" guys that can run around with Shai, Giddy, and Chet. You know, that's what you need.
Yeah.
All right. It's Voicemail Mondays. Here's a question. It's about win totals.
Hi, guys. My question is about the upcoming season and our possible record. So, since we've lost Chet, I was starting to think about what our record could be and what number of the win total for next season might be. And I started to think about how Shai, Giddy, and Dort missed a combined 82 games last season, and we won 24 games. So wondering what the win total now would be if the Thunder stayed healthy and they played more games. And then I started thinking about the Spurs and how they won 34 games and made the play-in. And so first question is, do you think the Thunder are capable of winning close to 34 games? And the second question is if they were capable of winning that amount of games and they were close to the play-in, would that be worth it to Presti and the organization to push for the play-in game? Or are they going to repeat the kind of tanking, quote unquote, that we've seen for the last few seasons? I appreciate you guys, and thank you for what you do.
34 is the over-under that I set in our text message thread before the Chet injury.
Or Chet.
So,
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit higher for my taste. I think that my pick for the win total is between 28 and 32, something like that. Maybe the best case scenario is a little bit higher. Regarding the question, I don't know what you mean by push. Like, if you mean letting them play, then maybe so. Especially if they are on a good pace early on. If you mean like adding talent to this team, if it is something where you really see a guy that you like so much, that is young on a rookie deal, then maybe you do it. But it's not because you want to make the play-in. It's because you find an opportunity, you find marginal value, and you think that it works. But I don't see them like spending to get there. But that we talked at length. This is something that, unless something incredible happen, I really don't see.
Yeah. I also think that the 10th seed is going to win more than 34 games this year. So, like, look over at the East. Last year, the Charlotte Hornets were the 10th seed. They won 43 games. I think that's going to be closer to what it's going to take to get there. Because you look at teams, and, like, I can name teams. Tell me if you think this team, I think we've played this game before. Tell me if you think this team, that the Thunder can be better than this team. Just like, is it possible that they're better? Phoenix.
No.
Grizzlies.
No.
Warriors.
No.
Mavericks.
I would say no with Luka healthy.
Yeah.
Even if after they lost to Bosnia, I don't think that he could like go back to his homeland ever again.
I know he's coming back and he's going to be in crazy shape. The Nuggets.
No.
Timberwolves.
No.
Pelicans.
No.
Clippers.
No.
Spurs.
Yes.
Lakers.
Yes.
Healthy LeBron, healthy Anthony Davis.
No.
Portland.
Possible, not likely, but possible.
Okay. Kings.
Yes.
Okay. So we're talking, there's 10 teams already. So they've got to.
No, yes, they can be better than the Kings.
Yeah. if everything worked out, yes. The Kings have a roster. If you want to talk about pushing, like the Kings are always pushing. It doesn't ever result in anything, but they're always pushing.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
the second part. They result in anything. It's the part
They won
I'm
30
holding
games.
on to.
Yeah, they won 30 games last year. Thunder won 24.
Do you think that the Kings are better?
This year?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Why?
I just think they have older, more experienced players. I mean, having Domas and Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox, if those guys stay healthy, they just know how to play decent NBA basketball. Like they are firmly in the middle. You know, the Thunder have I keep going back to the average age. The Thunder average age is 22.
No, that's okay. I was just thinking about, so to me, Kings 2020, 2021, 2022, and Kings 2022, 2023 as a roster doesn't really change much in my
Yeah, I mean, they have Domas
wins.
for the full season. Domas didn't play very much for them.
Yeah.
Post-trade.
Just
I think
equal value than of Tyrese. Like, it doesn't change much for me in win projection.
Yeah, maybe so. They added Kevin Huerter, who I think is going to help them.
Yeah.
Keegan Murray, I don't know if he's a winning player, but he's still a good player. Like they've got they have Domas and Rashawn Holmes. Those are their two centers. So that's pretty good. That's pretty good for a center.
What?
A center rotation in the NBA. I mean, look at the Thunder center rotation right now. What is it? Do we even know?
Yeah, okay, sure.
You know what I mean? And then they've got good players up and down the roster.
They can win 35, yes.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying this is like a team that's going to be like the 8th seed or 7th seed or 6th seed. Like, I don't think so. But they're going to be competent, like in the most annoying way, where like they're not good enough to be in the playoff, and they're not good enough or not bad enough to be where the Thunder are. And that's in the Thunder. Like, you just have to understand this. The strategy behind the Thunder right now is get as many top 5 picks as possible. Avoid the middle like it's the plague.
Yeah.
And if you have a team that is, they won 24 games. I would expect it to be pretty close to that next year too, with some strategy mixed in to get you there. So there's no reason to not avoid the middle like the plague for another season. You already have Chet sitting out. So, like, why don't you avoid it one more time? Because let's say they go all in, they push in, they win 37 games, and they miss the play-in still. And now you're picking 9th. I think everybody's sitting back at the summertime saying, why didn't we just do what we did before? We got Chet. Like, why don't,
It depends now. I think it really depends. If you have an exciting season where Shai goes off and you really find...
Winning 37 games is not exciting.
I beg to differ here.
You're losing more than half of your games.
I know. I really know that. But I think that the Grizzlies, when they went for the play-in, they won 4.
What they got in the play-in, and they beat the.
Yeah, I know, but
they went 37 and missed the play-in. That's what that's.
It doesn't change the excitement for Ja Morant. I think
that's how it played out, though, is that they went to the play-in and then they beat the Warriors in the play-in.
I know. I don't think that is all negative if you win 37 and Shai goes 35 and 7.
If he scores 35 a game,
30, 5, 7.
Okay, I was gonna say 35
or 5. 35 and 5, 27, 5 and 5, 28, 5 and 5 is an all-star. The team is rolling, and then they win big games, and they're just on the run without Chet. And yes, they pick the 8th pick, 9th pick.
Mm-hmm.
Are you not excited because this team without one of the major contributor is improving?
I just don't need to see that to believe in Shai.
I think that this is something that I just think it in a different way.
Yeah, like we think very differently in this aspect, because I would say I will be just as excited about Shai going into the following season if they win 22 games and are the third worst team in the league. Like, I'll be just as excited. I'll be more excited because we'll be going into the next season with another top 5 pick and Chet and Shai and Giddy and J-Dub and Dort. I mean, that's where it's like, okay, that's where it's very exciting. Yeah,
That part I agree. The part that is missing in everything is, like, if you say to me that they play 25 games
Mhm.
and they play for to win, they win 15 of those 25, and Presti says, "Oh, Shai, I'm really sorry. This is the last game you played for the season," and Shai is okay with that, I would be interested. But if I see Shai and all the other guys play for the entire season and win 24 games, I don't think I would be that happy, to be honest with you. Because to me, yes, there are examples in the league where a team with a very good player suddenly goes from 0 to, like, from 15 wins, 20 wins, whatever, to 50.
Yeah.
But it's not likely. And how can I say this? It's not the Phoenix thing where they got Mikal Bridges, they got Chris Paul, and in 2 years, boom. It's like the main pieces are here, and you really believe that those pieces are improving because you want that. You don't get Chris Paul. So to me, like, seeing this team going and playing high-level basketball with the players that they have, even if they screw up a little bit the lottery odds, I would still be very happy to see Jada being a contributor, Shai being awesome, being relentless, being able to defend. Because if that happens, again, this is not a 24-win teams. Like last season, it was manufactured. So I'm really curious.
Yeah. I think we'll have another manufactured 24, 25 win team.
We'll see.
And I think it's the right thing to do because you only have so many shots. This may be their last shot to be in the high lottery.
Yeah.
So, like, give it one more try. You have Shai on a 5-year deal. You have Dort on a long-term contract. You let those guys play, make millions and millions of dollars.
Question for you. Why this doesn't apply to Cleveland last year? Like, Cleveland last year, they said, okay, they could have another one. Like, they had Garland.
I would say
they get both Mobley.
Yeah, because it's because of the ownership and the instability of Kobe Altman's job. It was very well known that Kobe Altman was on a short leash going into that season. And so Kobe had to make moves. I mean, they made the Karis LeVert deal, and I think you can look at that and say, wow, that
didn't improve anything.
That looks kind of dumb now. But that was the move of a desperate general manager. They got in and got Jared Allen. It was a good move. Did they know that Jared Allen was going to be this good? I don't know if they thought he was going to be this good, but I'm sure that they were told that, like, you can't continue to pick in the top 5. Like, you've got your top 5 picks. Like, let's go. Here, it's different. Sam has the clout. Sam has more. I mean, he has more clout than just about any general manager trying to do what he's doing. So that's the difference. You know, some of these guys aren't allowed to do it for as long as they think necessary. So, I mean, that's just different. Every team has different management, has different ownership, has different goals. I think the Thunder understand the math behind what a top 5 pick can net you. And if you can keep yourself in the top 5 for as many years as possible, you put yourself in a position to not only get past the middle, but to jump the middle. And I think that's the goal. Eventually, you will be pulled to the middle no matter what. No matter what. However, if you can avoid it for a little while and endure some pain and endure some bad basketball, you can get to a place where you jump it. Getting DeAndre Ayton was a giant piece for the Suns in them jumping the middle.
Sure.
Obviously, Chris Paul was the big one, but getting Ayton was a big one. And they even screwed up that pick, but because it was a top 5 pick, it ended up being okay. So, okay, good question. You hit like exactly where McKelly and I differ in our philosophical team building strategies. So it's going to get a little bit of a longer answer on that one. Oh, let's take a quick break before we get to our next question. And we're back from that quick break. McKelly, you have a question that you want to address?
Yeah, there's one of our fans, Mike Ashton, that is in England, I think, and he couldn't send a question through voicemail, so he asked me to read it. I am of the opinion that Theo, Jerome, Favors, Vít Krejci, and Pokusevski are the most likely candidates to not make the final roster. For those 5 players, what would be their ideal landing spots on our team, or are they simply out of the league? Thanks. Shall we first say that I think that Theo and Vít are the most likely guys to go back to Europe. There is a decent chance.
I think so. I don't think there's a clear landing spot for either one.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah, maybe Theo can go to San Antonio or to Utah, but
sure.
Vít to me is, hey, go back, play in EuroLeague 2-3 years. We know who you are, and we can circle back.
You can stay healthy.
Yeah. Favors to me is absolutely not out of the league, but absolutely in the minimum vet for the next 3-4 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's just your token, like 4th or 5th big that could honestly be on any team.
Yeah.
He could sign in Denver, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can see that maybe they would need him for a game or two. Phoenix, Miami,
Milwaukee, teams like that, like for a minimum.
Yeah, just a team, just a winning team that needs a little bit of toughness. Chicago.
Heck, he could sign in Golden State. I mean, why not for the minimum?
Yeah, where he's like, okay, we need him when we play against Joel Embiid. Throw him out there for 10 minutes on Joel.
Yeah.
It's just he's fine. And he's a good character guy.
Yeah.
No issues there. So he could get another job, but it's like no one's sitting back and hoping that Derek Favors gets waived. So it's like, gosh, if the Thunder could just waive Derek Favors, it would complete our roster. No, it's just he's not going to play in the playoffs. He's not going to be a factor in the league. And then Poku's not getting waived. Like this, he's just not. It's not time yet to give up on Poku. I think a lot of teams would snatch him up. If you're
just to try him out.
Yeah.
What about Ty Jerome?
He's another guy where if he went to the right situation, like if he was on Philly needs another guard.
Yeah.
I don't know that he would actually play, but I think you could get him to a team like Philly. And because they have such dominant players in James Harden and Tyrese Maxey and Joel Embiid, that they just need a release valve.
Yeah.
Like, what's the difference between him and Isaiah Joe right now?
Yeah, not that much.
They're kind of the same player. So maybe that's a place where he could land. Now, they don't have
Brooklyn.
a rock spot. Yeah, Brooklyn is another one where he's just kind of, he's Seth Curry light,
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of what he is. And so, and with that, like, Dallas would also be a fine place. I don't know that Shai Jerome is an NBA player. I'll say that. I don't know. But if he is going to land somewhere, those are the kind of places where I would say you need to go where they have these like heliocentric, ball-dominant players that just need, even the Lakers, for that matter.
Yeah.
Like, think about the guys that have thrived around LeBron. Like Boobie Gibson. wouldn't have had a career without LeBron James.
Yeah.
You think Damon Jones stays in the league as long as he did without LeBron James?
No.
Heck no. Heck no. He didn't have a long career without being like not only playing with LeBron, but being like good friends with him. So yeah, there's a lot of guys, if they can play with these heliocentric players, that could look pretty good. I think Ty Jerome could be one of those guys. But if you like threw him on the Pacers or even the Cavaliers, it's like, yeah, sorry. Even like the Bulls, it's like no, or the Hawks, no, like the Magic, no. But you throw him on a team with a ball dominant player, so yeah, that could work. Even the Clippers would be like, okay, like just a team that needs some kind of release valve. Because Ty Jerome's a smart player, good shooter, great locker room guy. I think he has a chance to make it, but he's got to go to the right situation to make it. I think Philly is probably my favorite spot for him moving forward. Okay, this next question is about Scotty Barnes.
Hey guys, this is Will Haycox, a fan from South Carolina. I just wanted to ask a quick question. I got into being a Thunder fan in 2010. I was up late one night and watched a recap of a game where I think KD scored like 50 points or something. I was hooked at that point. I've been watching ever since, bought League Pass for the past several years. My question was, I became a Thunder fan, not just a KD fan, after watching for a few years. Then when he left, it hurt, but I'd already cast him a lot with Thunder, so I stuck with him. My brother is an NBA fan, but he kind of just watches players and jumps around depending on what team they go to. Could you just explain how you feel about the casual NBA fan who maybe watches this team this year and this team that year and doesn't really have any loyalty to a team, and also tell them why they're wrong? Thanks, guys. Love the show.
That question was not about Scotty Barnes. That question was about following teams. So I can fully relate to your brother because I was a Shaq fan growing up. And so I was a Magic fan to start with. Then I was a Lakers fan. Then I was a Heat fan. Then I was a Suns fan. Then I was a Celtics fan. I mean, I just bounced around. I eventually just stayed with the Lakers growing up because it was just like, this is a cool team. They seem to be good all the time. That's pretty fun. So I kind of stayed a Lakers fan. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's a lot of fans that, follow the league that way. And I think that's totally fine. Here's where what you miss out on is like team building strategy. Like LeBron fans probably don't understand team building strategy at all. Because it's just like, oh, I just bounced I'm bouncing back and forth from Cleveland to Miami to LA, and like the teams are just always good. And so all I know is like you just need role players, to surround LeBron with, know.
Yeah, pay the guy.
Yeah.
And take guys around.
Yeah. If you've stayed a fan of the Thunder this whole time, like you understand like so many facets of team building, whether it's like trying to put pieces around a really good team, tearing one team down. What does that look like? Building a team.
Is it true though? Or is it true to the listener of our podcast?
What?
No, the fact that you know about team building, like,
if you're if you're just like a psycho fan, in the NBA, I think that's you can get into like the nuances of team building strategy, which I think is really fun. But if you're just following a superstar player, I don't think either are wrong. I think that there are a lot of people that just follow the league for a particular player.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I often feel that I'm watching too much of OKC and very little of everything else. So watching just for the sake of watching good basketball is something that I really envy. I think it's a good thing. It's absolutely a good thing to be able to watch a lot and not following just the Thunder. Now, we needed to cover the Thunder, so we watch every single game. But I think it's good to watch and to just trying to see what OKC is different or what your team is different from the others. But you're right. I mean, if you follow one team, you are. It's more easy. It's easier to even like finding stuff on the court that you see repeated over and over, and you get accustomed to them. to what they are, to what they are called. So it's different. I think that as a fan, you probably have more emotions more involvement when you watch games. And so if you watch like just a team than a team, you are less attached probably. But it's again, there are stuff that you like that you can like even if you don't follow one team. So it's not terrible.
No. This question is hopefully this question is about the 23 draft. Hopefully I labeled these correctly.
Hello, Andrew and Mickey. We are less than 1 month away from Thunder preseason basketball. Just wanted to leave you another voicemail question. This is Trey Brown at Trey Browntown on Twitter. My question for you guys is, I know we are 9 months away from what would be the 2023 NBA draft, but have either of you gotten a chance to watch any of the prospects that would be available in that draft? And also, I wanted to just put it on the record for right now. Next year's draft in 2023, the Thunder will be selecting with their first-round pick Baba Miller of Florida State University. Just letting you guys know now a year ahead of time so you don't have to waste your time. Thanks, guys.
Okay, now we know who we should not cover in our, so that I mean it's more real that we pick him, because every year me and Andrew we just miss on a guy. So this year we'll be that guy. No, for me it really doesn't start. Of course I know who Scoot Anderson is and who Victor Wembanyama is, but even the two twins, Ammon and the other one that slipped my mind. The other one,
Asar.
I have no idea how they look like. I mean, to me is at least March.
Yeah.
Because I really like to focus and just not to like to focus on NBA up until March, April, and then try to ramp up the coverage. So no, for me it's too early.
Yeah. I'm pretty much the same. I have not done deep dives on these guys yet, mostly because things can change so much between high school and college on what these guys look like. So I want to see them play in a competitive atmosphere, which is going to be difficult for those OTE guys.
Yeah.
But with Scoot Henderson, they're playing a full G League season this year. That's a great thing. We're going to get a lot more data on him than we did last year.
Mm-hmm.
The two guys that I look at and I'm like, okay, these are positions in which the Thunder really needs somebody. I mentioned him before, Cam Whitmore and Asar Thompson. Those two are 6'7", big, athletic. They need those kind of guys. They need one of those guys. So I like both of them for this team in particular.
Can I say something quickly about Victor Wembanyama?
Yes.
Luka Doncic was destroying the EuroLeague at the age of 18.
He was.
Victor decided to go down a level.
Yeah. How about that? That is interesting.
I have no idea about the details. I just listened to the pod with Sam Vecini, so I don't know why he did that.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to follow this thing because it's not really.
It's a little concerning, right?
It is. Do you remember the last French player that was in your league and then went to the second? I don't remember even the name of the cup that they are playing in. I don't know. It is Kylian Hayes, and it's not a very, very good thing to go down a level to be a little bit more productive. But to say, hey, maybe his offensive game is more tuned to the ULEB Cup instead of the EuroLeague. I said, that is not good to hear. I want him to score 20 points in the EuroLeague, not to be a 15-point per game guy in 20 games in ULEB Cup. That is not something I want to see.
Right. Yeah. His stats last year, 7.5 points, 4 boards, 0.6 assists, 1.8 blocks.
1.8 blocks is huge in EuroLeague. It's very tough to do.
It is crazy. The blocks are crazy. The other stuff was everybody talks about him like he's just slam dunk, can't miss, next generational player. And I'm not saying he's not going to be that. I don't know.
He might be.
He very well might be. I just look at the stats and I'm a little skeptical. That's all.
Again, Luka was leading Real Madrid to win the second most competitive league in the world, and he was the guy.
Yeah.
Clearly,
Yeah.
he was pick and roll, and again pick and roll in the finals of the EuroLeague, and he was owning it.
Yeah.
So, and that is a generational talent to me.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of generational talents, this is questions about Evan Mobley, or at least I think it's about Evan Mobley.
Hi, this is Artie, the AI, longtime listener, first-time caller. I've heard a lot of draft experts say that Evan Mobley would have gone ahead of Chet and Paolo if he was in the 2022 draft. I'm trying to understand why that is. I can see Mobley's potential to be an all-time great defender, and while he has some really nice touch and a smooth jumper, I'm struggling to see how he can be a true superstar on the offensive end of the court. Chet might not quite have the same defensive ceiling as Mobley, but he could still be all NBA level, and from what I can see, Chet seems to have more in his bag offensively compared to Mobley, especially when it comes to shot creation off the bounce. Thanks. Love the pod.
Thank you for that question. I mean, Evan Mobley, you mentioned it defensively, is just a absolute beast already. And I don't think he's 21 yet. But he also, I think that there were questions about how he would handle an 82-game season, and he didn't play full 82 games. I mean, that's how he handled it. But his mobility, I think he is a good shooter off the bounce to a degree and can be better. And that's what he's been working on all season. He can hit pull-up jumpers. He can space out. He is really good in a pick and roll setting just because he understands timing really well too. There's just a lot to like about him. I think his game can be a lot like an evolved form of like what Kevin Garnett was in the NBA. And like KG wasn't like some smooth, crazy operator with the ball like Kevin Durant was, but he could still do a heck of a lot, and he averaged like 20 plus points per game every single season. I think that's the kind of player that Evan Mobley can be with having top tier elite defense. I think that you could almost lock that in as to what he's going to be. Chet, there's still a lot of question marks. Is there a chance that Chet's better than Evan Mobley? I do think that there's a chance. I think there's a chance just because of what this robot mentioned to us, is that Chet is more of a smooth operator with the basketball.
Oh, yeah.
And he can, if Chet's body holds up, and it's just like sucks so much that he got hurt before this season, because it brings to that question even more validity. Not that it didn't have validity before, but it has even more now. But if Chet can hold up physically with the game, Chet's definitely has more in his bag. There's just no doubt about that. Like with the step backs, with his ball handling abilities, yeah, it's a step above what Evan Mobley is. But Mobley is so solid already at everything that it's more like undeniable. Like there's less questions about it just because he was able to already do quite a bit. Now his jumpers got a ways to go because he didn't. I'm trying to look. How many threes did he even take? He only took 92 threes.
But he's 30%?
25%.
25. Okay.
So
there was a moment in the season where it was 30, and he might have dipped a little bit at the end.
He's got to get better, and I think he will. He also only shot 66% from the free throw line, which has got to get better as well. But everything else is just super solid. Like he can already pass the ball at a pretty high level for a big. He's a good rebounder.
Can we say that if Chet had Mobley's body, he would have been probably number one pick in the last, I would say, 3 drafts?
Yeah, I think so. I think if he just weighed 20 pounds more and was like 2 inches shorter.
Yeah, even the broad shoulders, like.
Yeah, yes. The shoulders too. I think I do think the body was like the main concern, because Mobley does have pretty broad shoulders.
Yeah.
So if you can see him with a Giannis body in like 6 years, Mobley, that is.
Yeah.
It's less certain.
So that is the huge why. Body is a huge part in the role that Chet plays, and in general in the NBA. So I think that being able to see that Mobley can sustain an NBA season defensively and has shown ready maturity offensively and decent touch, is something that you don't have with Chet. And so you can say, yes, I trust Mobley, whereas the first month of Chet's basketball career is a great summer league showing and an injury. And this is the data. I mean, it's hard for people and for everyone in general to believe something that they didn't see. And with Chet, we had glimpses of.
Yeah.
But we need real data.
Yeah.
And so
that's why this is such a bummer, because we did see what we saw in Utah that one night.
Oh, I remember giggling.
Spectacular night. And the reality that could be just a little peek into what his prime looks like. And if that is Chet's prime, I think he's better than Evan Mobley. But it's a pretty big if.
Yeah.
Okay. This question I do think is about Scotty Barnes.
What's up, guys? This is Isaac from Florida. I had a question about the value of Shai when compared to someone like Scotty Barnes. Definitely not interested in losing Shai, just more curious about what his value is. So if something were to happen between OKC and the Raptors, which side would have to throw in something extra to get the deal done? All right, thanks.
Okay, so let's dive into a hypothetical world where a trade happens between the Raptors and the Thunder, and it includes Scotty Barnes. So
who do you want to do? Toronto or OKC? Let's make it real.
I'll be Toronto. You can be OKC.
Okay.
All right. So we know Shai wants out, and we are willing to include Scotty Barnes, but we're going to
include. Nice word. Keep going.
We're going to need quite a bit back to get there, though, because we believe Scotty is going to be a franchise type of player. One, I mean, he doesn't make much money, so this is part of why it's going to take some more from us to get there. Scotty is making $7.6 million. Shai's making 30.9. So we have to throw in some salary to get there. A Gary Trent is on the table for us, guys, to help match. Maybe
we don't possibly care for that.
Maybe even a Chris Boucher to get us there.
We don't need more skinny guys, but go on.
But we're gonna need something, to sweeten the pot a little bit. Maybe like a Jalen Williams or an Usman Jang for us to actually feel good about doing this.
Okay, then I don't think that we have much to talk about. We feel that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is about to break out.
Yeah.
He will be, after this season, a top 10 kind of guy. And Scotty may be, for what we know, a very good rookie.
Yeah.
A solid
rookie of the year.
Yeah.
He's got more
in a year where half of them were injured.
I ever wished of having. So, I mean.
Oh, no. I mean, I
just
wouldn't.
Scratching the surface. He's 3 years younger. 4 years.
Just to set the table, I wouldn't trade Giddy straight up for Barnes today. Or at least I have to think about it.
You would? I mean, in all honesty, you wouldn't?
No. In all honesty.
Okay, pause.
I'd have to think about it. To me, Barnes has a very, let's put it this way. The median of Scotty Barnes is better than the median of Josh Giddey.
Mm-hmm.
But the top end result for Scotty, to me, it's not equal to. I think that Giddey is a genius.
Yeah, he is.
And I would have to think about it hard. So to go back in our trade, I really don't think I would do Shai for Barnes straight up. I think to me the difference is quite substantial. I think that one first round pick is not enough. So I think that Barnes plus picks, plural, is something that I'm willing to listen to. And the side that I'm getting back, it needs to be good. Otherwise, it's going to go up. And Trent may come in as neutral, so maybe it doesn't change the value of the trade.
It's only 23.
Yeah,
he's
but it's
younger.
neutral. It's not like a good salary, which I really wanted.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any way we can come to an agreement then.
I think that OKC can agree to a trade like a 3-team trade where Toronto gives up Pascal Siakam and Scotty Barnes.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way. I mean, if you're Toronto, you're just trying to throw pair. I mean, honestly, if I'm trying to get Shai from the Thunder, I'm not offering Scotty in the deal.
Then there's no deal. I don't even think that OKC wants a guy like that with the guys that are in the roster.
Yeah. I think that they would rather have him. I think that they would have taken him had they landed in the top 4.
Possibly.
But
instead of Giddey.
I think I would want him instead of Giddey. Yeah.
Yeah, but is this
think about
wide
Barnes
for you?
But think about Barnes and Chet as your.
I know.
Holy smokes, man!
I know.
Holy smokes! I'm gonna take my shirt off. Oh,
sure, do it. But I think that maybe you do it, but the distance is not that wide.
Yeah. You're probably right. Okay. Well, there you go. There's a little discussion. We probably have time for 2 more questions.
Okay.
Hey guys, this is Aaron from Wisconsin. I just had a quick draft philosophy question for you.
Wow.
Which was, imagine if you were a GM with 2 picks in a row. Do you think it would be beneficial to pick the player you believed in more second instead of first, just to save maybe $1 million or $2 in the future when you wanted to re-sign that player and maybe drop the first one who was a bigger gamble or something like that? I know this doesn't really apply to this year's draft because it sounded like the Knicks were kind of auctioning off Jang. But in the future, if the Thunder had 2 picks in a row, what do you think would be the best way to go about that? Thanks, guys.
That's a really fun question.
Future money, I don't think that is really important with the position. It's actual money. Like the extension can be whatever. The money you saved in the past don't really count.
Yeah. I don't know that there's really incentive for that, but it is an interesting thought.
It's more psychological though.
It's definitely
like this guy's been picked before me. I need to destroy him.
Yeah, exactly. That could be happening right now. Poor Usman Jang. All right, this is probably our last question because I got to go.
Hey, Mikey. What's up, Andrew? Curious of your favorite, whether they're wacky or not, offensive only starting lineup and defensive only starting lineup. And then I would love to know if Mikey has an Italian or European composer or artist that he thinks Americans should know about because they're sleeping on them. So offensive, defensive lineups, and then Mikey's go-to music artist. Thanks, guys.
Oh, music is so bad. No, sorry. I'm so bad at music. I phrased it wrong. I love music, but I'm the last person to be asked for advices. I know that there is a band called Maneskin that are pretty big in Italy. They are winning stuff in Europe. They are always half naked, men and women. I don't know why. But they are pretty famous. So if you never heard of them, like people around me like them, even my kids, which I hope they never see the videos. But anyway, the offensive lineup is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Trey Mann.
Yeah.
J-Dub, Kenny and
Kenrich.
Mike.
Kenrich
no,
and Mike.
Giddey and Mike. I think Giddy has to be there.
Yeah, Giddy has to be there. Giddy and Mike. Yeah.
Yeah. And the defensive unit is
Dort.
Kenny, Dort,
Kenny, Dort, Jeremiah. Right.
Jeremiah, yes. J-Dub.
We're already getting a little sketchy here. Baisley?
Yeah, not J-Dub, Baisley, probably. And can we put Poku in it? Just for the length?
Yeah, definitely.
Who's handling the ball there? I mean,
who can?
That unit.
Dort. It's Dort time. Time for
Dort
the Dirty
time.
40.
Okay.
Let's go.
Dirty
Gosh,
40. Okay, Maneskin has gotten pretty big in America too. So nothing new. Sorry.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him. So, which means nothing because I know nothing about anything.
Yeah, they were in a talent show like X Factor.
Oh, okay.
They as always the best group doesn't win it, but they win like everything else.
Mm-hmm.
They are very famous.
I'll have to check them out. All right, hope you guys have a great Labor Day in America. No labor tomorrow. Hang out. You guys enjoy friends and family tomorrow. I hope you're enjoying this podcast poolside somewhere. We'll be back on Wednesday. We are going to continue the Summers of Sam, another fun summer to discuss. So be ready for that. Enjoy it. We'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.